Hurricane season, 1996. For several months, hurricanes and tropical storms waltzed across the Atlantic, looking from the ghost satellite 23,000 miles above the Earth like so many dancers at a ball. One by one, they glided gracefully from Africa's coast across the Atlantic towards America's east coast, sometimes falling off towards the Caribbean, sometimes being spun off into the North Atlantic. Unfortunately, more than once, they slammed into North Carolina's coast with winds of fury. In two of the closest landfalls in history, Bertha and Fran delivered a 1-2 punch to the area, changing the face of paradise forever.
You can start to feel it out there already. You can tell Bertha is on her way. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms, rain heavy at times, damaging winds developing with beach erosion, coastal flooding likely, a low near 70. East wind from 45 to 50, increasing to near hurricane force. Friday, winds near hurricane force, showers and thunderstorms, rain heavy at times, high, lower 80s. Currently in Wilmington, mostly cloudy. It is 80 now. Again, the 2 o'clock ordinance on Bertha, 30.2 north, 78.1 west. Again, 30.2 north, 78.1 west. The next update coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon. I'll have that for you as soon as we get it in. Again, Bertha has weakened down to 90-mile-an-hour sustained winds, but still packing a powerful punch, even though she is a Category 1 hurricane now.
Yes, Mom, ladies and gentlemen. Mandatory evacuation or curfew from 6 to 6.
A local statement from the Weather Service in Wilmington, some safety tips for when the eye is in the area. That's going to be the strongest part of the storm, of course. Stay on high ground and inside a sturdy structure. If you haven't made it to an evacuation emergency shelter, you need to do that if that, in fact, is your plan.
Well, one of the best descriptions I've ever heard of flying through a hurricane came from one of our mechanics. A lot of times he has to sit in the back with us as we're going from one place to another through the storm. He said to him it was like driving a semi down a dark dirt road at night with the lights turned off. It's bumpy, it's dark, it can be really interesting. The bottom line is you really don't know what you're going to get into as you fly into a storm. Some of them are pretty benign. Even a big storm like Gilbert, for example, was not too bad to fly through, whereas some little storm will knock you all over the sky. You just don't know going in. But typically, as you approach the storm, starting anywhere from 200 miles out to 100 miles out, you're going to start to pick up the wind, the increasing crosswinds. Remember, the winds are going around in a big circle, counterclockwise. I'm pointing in straight toward the eye, so I'm going to be having winds on my left wing the whole way in. And they'll start to pick up 40, 50, 60 knots. Once you get in closer to the center, they'll start going over 100 typically. You'll start encountering the rain bands. In and out of the rain bands, there'll be turbulence in the bands, fairly calm in between. You'll start to encounter the central dense overcast, so after a while you'll probably be flying pretty much entirely on the gauges. The key to the thing is as you approach the eye wall. That's really the worst of it right there. The whole trick to penetrating a storm is successfully negotiating your way through the eye wall. What's going to happen is as you approach the eye wall, let's say for a major storm, a Category 3 or 4 or something like that, you will be experiencing crosswinds as you approach the eye wall of probably close to or in excess of 100 knots. You'll be in the clouds, and it'll be probably light to moderate turbulence. Then as you go through the eye wall, all hell breaks loose. The turbulence will increase moderate to severe, occasionally extreme. Your crosswind will increase to 120, 130, 140, and all of this will happen in the space of a couple of minutes. Of course, you're in the clouds the whole time. You're having to increase your correction. You could be crabbed as much as 25 degrees off your track, trying to hold your course. Then suddenly you burst through the eye wall, and there you are in the center of the storm. And all of a sudden, everything happens in reverse. The winds suddenly fall off. You're in the open. The turbulence ceases. The seatbelt light comes off. Everybody gets up and walks around and looks at the eye of the storm. Of course, staring at you 20 or 30 miles away on the other side is the eye wall, because you know you're going to have to go back out through it to get out again.
Yeah, you copy that. Yeah, I'm still trying to get these doors going, on a manual position. Yeah, well, Bob's going over there now to get Unit 4. As soon as you get Unit 3 cut loose, let's bring it over here. We can block them both ways. I'm going to go ahead and respond over to Birmingham as soon as he gets around it. We're now moving all of our equipment across the bridge to Bellamy School. Info, as far as I know, we're going to stay on the island. We're going to take care of whatever happens on the island. Not just, of course, fall until the wind gets too high. We'll do what we can. Appreciate it. Be back as soon as we can. .501 to Curie Beach, 800 units. Go ahead, 501. Did y'all copy Federal Punch's transmission? They are 10-8 off the island at Bellamy School. You and I will have to handle everything on the island. All right, you understood.
Keep it here on your hurricane information station. Standing by is Dan across the studio. Hey, I'm here too. Dan has the list of all the cancellations and closings going on. Let me give you the 2 o'clock on Fran one more time before I turn it over to Dan. And again, the next complete update will be coming up at 3 o'clock. But as of 2 o'clock, the center of Hurricane Fran estimated by radar to be near latitude 32.3 north, longitude 77.7 west, about 120 miles south-southeast of the South Carolina-North Carolina border. Fran is moving toward the north-northwest, which would bring it right there at 16 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds 115. We'll have to see if Fran decides to strengthen any. But right now, let's get an update from Dan Allen.
All right, Tim, thanks a lot. I didn't bring with me my list of closings, but I did want to emphasize that as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, the Snow's-Cut Bridge across the intercoastal waterway to Carolina Beach has officially been closed to southbound traffic. If you're trying to get back onto Pleasure Island, they will not allow you to, but those residents still on the island will be allowed to leave. And the same applies to the Oak Island Bridge. I just got off the phone with Sheriff Hewitt of Brunswick County.
Yeah, Bob, do you have anybody at the bridge? State Highway Patrol is at the bridge at 2 o'clock. We got one of our firemen there trying to get back on the bench and they won't let him call. I have Billy call the EOC and see if they can get in touch with Highway Patrol. That's the only way you'll get him over. See you, Bob.
We did just get off the phone with John Glasgow. He's a public information officer for Carolina Power and Light Company. John, it's kind of early in the storm right now. Are there any reports of CP&L customers being affected as yet?
We are beginning to see some early effects of the storm. We've got some sporadic outages. We'll not be intentionally turning out anybody's lights. Actually, what you're seeing now is, just the effects of the storm. In the case of Wrightsville Beach, at the request of town officials, at some point tonight, we will likely turn out the lights. If we are requested by the town officials, we will turn out the power. But for example, in Wilmington proper, if your lights are out, it's because of the hurricane. When we hear reports of lights out, we'll dispatch crews right now to restore power. At some point when the winds reach about 50 miles an hour, we will not dispatch crews until the storm passes, just for safety reasons. Before this is over, unfortunately, we'll have, probably be unusual to have power for most of the people.
Sunday afternoon, Camille brushes past the mouth of the Mississippi. At first, she only blows a few shingles off the roofs. Then she begins ravaging the whole Louisiana Delta. Upriver, the levees are beginning to crumble under pressure of wind and water. Finally, at Buras, the levee breaks. Time to get out. And now the few who lingered are running for their lives, north to New Orleans and safety. By late afternoon, advance winds are touching the Mississippi coast. The slowpokes are still gassing up. And civil defense workers and local police are going door to door, trying to rout the stragglers out.
No, we're not getting out.
Well, then, would you give me the names of your next of kin?
Say, you're serious about this, aren't you?
Mister, I've never been more serious in my life.
Martha, let's pack up.
But we'll get up on the third floor. The water won't get that high.
But if the first and second floor go, the third floor coming down. Excuse me.
Hi, pal. Come in. Welcome to the hurricane party.
100,000 people have listened and left. Left behind, the young who think nothing can ever hurt them. The unbelievers who plan to ride it out. The sightseers. The thrill seekers. The stubborn.
It's now 6:30 p.m. Sunday in Biloxi, Mississippi, and the hurricane is really beginning to be felt here. As you can see, the palm trees are blowing, the rain is beginning to increase, and the sea is beginning to churn in the Gulf. It promises to be a long, long night in Biloxi.
CD office to rescue White. We have a call on Sandy Hook Road at Henderson Point. 3 subjects trapped in automobile.
In Gulfport and Biloxi, half a dozen trained volunteer rescue teams in heavy-duty trucks and ducks are answering the first calls for help.
We need an ambulance at the Nichols School Shelter to pick up an expectant mother. Take her to the hospital.
By 8 o'clock, power lines are falling, starting fires, and winds are whipping them out of control. Even in New Orleans, on the outer edge of the storm, Camille's beginning to cause problems. Along the Industrial Canal, another levee breaks, begins flooding part of the city.
It's 10 o'clock in Biloxi now, and the eye of the storm, they say, is still over 2 hours away. The wind is so strong one can hardly stand up in it. The rain is torrential. Streets are flooded. We are cut off from the outside world in our motel here. There is no power. Everything is black.
Rescue Red to CD control.
Already one of Gulfport's heavy-duty rescue teams is in trouble.
What's your 1020?
Rescue Red has gone out on one mission too many. Their truck is swamped in the rising tide.
To hell with the radio and the equipment. Abandon your machine.
Power poles are falling. Live wires sizzling in the streets. Staying out now is suicide.
Rescue Blue and White, come home. All rescue units, come home.
At 11 o'clock, a huge tidal surge rises in front of the storm, 20 to 30 feet high. It sweeps inland with irresistible force, smashing boats, collapsing buildings, wrecking everything in its path. At midnight, the eye of the hurricane crosses east of Bay St. Louis, and winds of 200 miles an hour complete the destruction. Outside, in the wind and water, people are dying. But now, there's nothing anyone can do.
be at risk. If someone has an actual emergency, and meanwhile the EMS folks are having to respond to you because you're out playing around with the storm. So use common sense, as we keep saying, and the best advice Mooney Road before Ponton Beach Street.
1039, Miss Montclair with the Broncos.
I'm at the station.
Oh, there's a tree down there.
Still waiting for my tire, sir.
Sergeant's off. 10-4, unit 2 needs to see 54. 1039.